pay. In 2009, Dr. Pepper Snapple Group made a record $555 million in profit, and its CEO, Larry Young, took home $6.5 million and had the access to a tax-free corporate jet. And now he announces that he's going to cut the pay and benefits of factory workers that make just $19 an hour. That's just $38,000 a year. So, and I'm sure old Axeman Larry is going to get a nice bonus for his efforts. Well, where does that bonus money come from? Right out of the pockets of the workers that he just cut. And you hear this a lot with companies. When you hear they come in and the person is the Axeman and he just fires a lot of people and then everyone else has to work harder and then he gets a big bonus. Those two things are connected. It's not like the workers are over here on this street and the CEOs are on this street. The CEO, he's getting that bonus for cutting the money out of the workers' pocket. So make that connection. So for those people, forget about buying a car. If you keep doing this, they won't even be able to afford a bottle of Snapple. And I say that's just Prepple. Okay, so we need to just kind of look at what are some historical trends. I mean, I kind of fast forwarded from 1914 to 2009, but there's actually been a pattern going on of wages flatlining. So what we see here is since 1980, and remember that year 1980 because it comes up a lot and it's really important. So we can see from 1980 to 2004, the stock market went up huge. CEO salaries went up more than 800%. So, and these numbers are 2004 dollars, so equivalent to 1.4 million they were making in 1980. Now the average CEO makes almost 12 million. And you can see productivity went up, so everybody's working harder. But look at what happened to the average wage. It just kind of stayed the same at about $15.60 an hour. So that pretty much flatlined. So, and then let's just look at CEO pay skyrocketing. Back in 1960 to 1980, they were making 40, maybe 80 times the average worker. And now they make on average about 400 times the average worker. And you can see during the dot-com boom in the center there, 98, 99, because there was lots of dividends paying out, they were making 500 times the average worker. So, and of course, that's just the average. We've all heard the outrageous stories of, hedge fund managers that make $4 billion with a B, dollars per year, okay? In other countries, just to note, other industrialized countries, CEOs still only make about 40 times the average worker. So it's not like these CEOs are going to be able to go anywhere else to make this kind of money when they threaten that you won't get good people, okay? So, and then let's just, again, look at it from a chart. We saw the productivity. See how it starts surging in 1980? And I actually put the presidents underneath so you could see, because it was 1982 when Reagan introduced this whole idea of trickle-down economics, which I'm sure you've all heard about. That if you cut taxes for the wealthy, that the wealth will trickle down, and that's when that started. What you see is productivity going up, but median family income just kind of, it goes up a little bit, but not at the same rate. So think about it. 150 million people worked and produced more profit than ever before, and the top 1%, and especially the top 1/10 of 1%, got most of the benefit. So ask yourself, does that seem fair to you? I mean, does it seem like the wealth was trickling down when the economy grew, that we were all sharing in it? And this is an interesting thing to think about. If middle-class families had maintained the same share of productivity and prosperity that they had in 1980, do you know how much we'd all, on average, have in our pockets? About $12,500 more per year, if we'd shared the same as we were making in 1980. So that's kind of, I mean, couldn't we all use that? Yeah, that's better than any tax cut I've ever gotten. Okay, so the question is, who's eating up all the pie? We need to stop believing the myth that the super rich are just growing the American pie, that they're kind of over here doing their own thing and really working hard and they're making all this money, and then all the rest of us are over here. What's been happening is they're just eating up our slivers of pie more than that they're growing the pie. So in 2007, the top 1%, so I made this big 1% here, this one dot had more wealth than the bottom 90%. So there's all of us over there, the 90 dots. And the top 10% had had more than they had 71% of the wealth. So what's going on now with our policies is, and by the way, we haven't seen such a concentration of wealth like this, and we have to go all the way back to right before the Great Depression, if that gives you any clues as to what's going on. And it doesn't seem to be trickling down. So, and it's not trickling down. On the contrary, the insatiable rich are now coming after our 29%. And one of the ways they do this is through tax policy. So, based on, we just had a big tax debate, and there was all this hyperbole being thrown around. Oh my gosh, if we raise the top bracket, which is, anybody know what 35% for the top income? Anything over a certain amount, which was about $379,000, was at 35%. We had talked about raising that back to where it was under Clinton, which was 39.6%. We're talking just 4.6%. The way people were talking was like 4.6% was the difference between capitalism and socialism. But does anybody here know what the top bracket tax rates were before Reagan came in and slashed them in 1980?
70%.
She got it.
Whoa.
It was 70%. And before that, do you know what it was? Like in the 50s and 60s?
No, I was born in the 60s, so I don't know.
It was 91%. So let's look at a little tax chart here. So that meant, just to say what that means, in 1960, if you made the top bracket started at $400,000, which I typed in there's these fun little inflation calculators you can do. So $400,000 was equivalent to about 2.7 million in today's dollars. So let's say you made 3.7 million in 1960. That last million, you paid $910,000 in taxes on that money. And so just think about that. And anything over about equivalent to $200,000 back in 1960, you paid somewhere between 50 and 90% on that money. So if you hear anybody saying our taxes are too high, we had a much higher brackets for the top, and we had lots more brackets too. That was the key for people that were really wealthy. And again, were we socialists then? You know, we've always been capitalists. We just didn't allow such concentration of wealth. So then you see, so today, for example, our top bracket starts at is at $379,000. Anything over $379,000 is taxed at 35%. So we don't even have a bracket for $1 million and $2 million and $3 million. Anything over that, 35%. And if you make all your money from dividends and capital gains, and you've heard Warren Buffett talk about this, he pays only 15% on all of his money, more than his secretary. So that's what he means by this. So if you wonder why we have a huge deficit, this is part of it. I mean, we used to be collecting a lot more money. And then the other thing you notice here is most of the tax cuts goes to the top bracket. Look at what the median family. I mean, it just kind of bounces around a couple of percent, right? So what's happened is they use all the rhetoric to get middle-class, regular people to yell about a tax cut, and they maybe only are getting $500, $600, maybe a couple $1,000. But what they do is they get all of us to sort of make their argument and carry the water for them, but they're getting most of the tax cuts. I mean, you're talking millions of dollars. So how about the mantra we hear all the time? Well, we have to give tax cuts to the wealthy because they're the small business owners and they create all the jobs. What about that claim? Well, remember from our Jim Click example? Is a tax cut going to cause anyone to hire anyone? Remember, it's demand. You can give Jim Click all the tax cuts in the world. He is not going to go out and hire somebody unless regular people are in there buying his cars. So it makes more sense to get money in the pockets of regular people, not in his pocket. Another misnomer is that only about 3% of small businesses make over those top brackets. Like, I'm one of those small businesses. I don't make anywhere near the top bracket. So tax cuts for that top bracket, plus my business model is I don't have any employees. So you can give me all the tax cuts in the world. I'm not going to hire anyone either. I'll stand up there and say, don't give me any tax cuts. On the other hand, if you create demand by getting money in the pockets